Live from Latrobe Motorsports Studios, this is Ride Along with Howie, from the fast half-mile track at Latrobe Speedway, where it's grassroots racing at its finest. Here's Howie.
Race fans, who's ready to go for a ride? It's that time. It's time for the Joe's Body Shop and Towing, S&B Promotions, Ride Along with Howie. And our first guest tonight is the defending winner of the Ralph Davis Memorial, Mr. John Over. John, welcome back to Ride Along.
Thanks, Howie.
Hey, we appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to do this ride again. Last year, you picked up one of the bigger wins of your career when you picked up the Ralph Davis Memorial at Latrobe Speedway. And now it's been about a year and you're ready to defend that title. And what do you think about going into this race coming up? Extra money, extra cars, any extra pressure being a defending winner?
Not really. I mean, the pressure, I put pressure on myself every week. This crate class that we run in, all the cars are so equal. It's really a matter of making sure you position yourself and start towards the front of the pack so you can get some clean air. But I'm certainly looking forward to defending my title for that race, and hope I can do well in the race and enjoy victory lane with the family of Ralph Davis Jr. again.
And like I said, you picked up the win last year, and that was probably about the 6th or 7th race on that new rocket. Now you've had it for about a year and a lot more races on it. You think you on where the chassis is going now?
I do. Like I said, right now the top 5 cars at Latrobe are so equal to each other that it's really just a matter of where you start in the feature with them. Latrobe is a very nice track. The surface is very good, and ultimately, because the surface is so smooth and fast, and the cars are so equal, it makes it extremely tough to pass on those tracks unless one of us makes a mistake. But I mean, you have Braden Dillinger, Ryan Frazee, Mike Duritsky, myself, and Clay Copeland. We're all just so close right now that it makes it. And then you have Jeff Ferguson there too. I mean, it just makes it real tough right now.
And you forgot about our 3-time track champion, Troy Shields. He won the inaugural Ralph Davis Memorial. And it seems like this year the track has just been so fast, and the cars seems like they're very aero sensitive. Am I correct on that?
100%. That's Braden, he's done very well. He's running very well, but all those big races, he's starting up front, and that clean air makes a whole bunch of difference. And when you're running in clean air, it just looks like you may have 50 more horsepower than the car behind you. So it's extremely difficult if you get behind somebody and they're taking an air off your nose, and you have to have that air running across the deck of the car just to get the traction you need to keep it up.
And one thing that's a little different, besides your heat races, we do that redraw of the top 6 or 9, depending on how many cars we have, starting position. So it takes a little luck too. You got to be good because you want to get into the redraw, but you got to have that luck when it comes time to do the redraw.
Yeah, that seems to be my biggest problem is I have none of that luck. I show up at the track and there's 50 pills in the bubblegum jar, and I'm always pulling higher than 25. And then we've been in the redraw when there were 9, and we pull an 8 or a 9. And last week we pulled a 6, and there's only 6 in the redraw. So I mean, that makes it difficult. The redraws. I've never been a big fan of it. My entire crate racing career, I've never been a fan of the redraw. The top cars come to the track and they're working hard on their car. And, I think that the work during the week, you should be able to, race heat races, qualify, and just race straight up and and let your work show what's going on, not luck.
So you as a driver would like to do away with the additional redraw.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the way the tracks down south do everything. You show up a track, you pull a pill, that tells you where you go out for hot laps, and then they do hot lap qualifying. So that, once Latrobe gets their transponders system working there, it would be nice to have some hot lap qualifying. And then, if you want to invert 4 or so for hot laps or for the heat races after the hot lap qualifying, and then you just start straight up in the feature the way you finish in the heat race. I mean, if you're working on your car all week and doing what you need to do, and if somebody's beating you legally, you just need to work a little bit harder and get your car ready to go. So
now you have a year on that rocket, and we talked last year in Victory Lane, and you were very comfortable in the car. With another year under your belt, in that car under your belt, is it getting more like home? We'll say, as comfortable as you were with your old rocket and the Warriors.
Yeah, I mean this chassis is certainly very touchy. I've tried some things there in the middle of the season for a couple races that just tried some things as the track slicked off to try to make it a little bit better, and just didn't work out so much. When I finished in mid-pack there, those couple races, but last week I went back to what I was doing last year and what I know the car wants. And, we had a good run last week. It was just, where we started is basically been hurting me a lot in the features, but the car was fast. I talked to Gary Sisson this evening. He stopped by the garage when I was working on the car, and he told me that, eyeball from the stands, it looked like I probably had one of the faster cars mid-race until my regular tire wore out. But I mean, when you're racing and trying to pass people, you're going to wear your tires out a little bit quicker than if you're up front just traveling the lane you need to be in. So
right now we're in a little bit of a tire shortage. At least that's what a lot of teams are telling me. It's getting hard to find the tires. Are you experiencing those issues too, John? Or
yes, I really am. I certainly over the off season have made my feelings clear with Hoosier relative to the tire shortage. I don't think there really needs to be a tire shortage. If Hoosier, they're the big boys of the group relative to tires, and if they would just step up to the plate and tell all these series, hey, these are the tires we're making. We're going to make these 1300s, 13 and a quarters, 1350s in this tread design. We're not going to stamp the side of it. Lucas, World of Outlaws, Rush, Fast Track, USA Crate. You're going to race these tires, and if they did that, they don't have to make as many different brands of tires for all these series. And actually, it would be easier on the racer because now you're not paying that extra $10 a tire for the series that you're running in. So that's why I like Latrobe. When they opened up the tire rule, you basically get to shop around and get the tires that you can get for a price you can hopefully afford them at, because the tire prices right now are just so out of control. And I truly believe Hoosier needs to step up to the plate and tell them all, hey, these are the tires we're making, and you guys that run these series just have to live with it.
John, what is a 1300, 13 and a quarter, 1350? Is that what the tire? It's a compound, but can you explain what that is?
So it is. It's basically 13. It's the durometer of the tire, how hard the tire is or how soft the tire is. So a 1300 would be softer than a 13 and a quarter, and which is softer than a 1350. So as the number increases, the durometer increases, or the hardness of the tire increases.
Would you be in favor of seeing a right rear of the old D55 or something like that?
Yeah, I would be, if Hoosier would step up to the plate and just basically, make certain compounds with certain tread designs. I think it would behoove the racers to basically say, because there are a lot of tracks down south that already do it, that basically run a certain hardness tire, say a 1350 on the left front, right front, and left rear, and then they run a harder tire on the right rear. And, at that point, the racers don't have to spend as much money because that hard right rear tire will last a couple races versus maybe only getting a one night out of right rear.
And like you mentioned, and I mentioned, with the tire situation where it's at, maybe that's something that people are going to have to consider for next year, because you hate saying it, racers are their own worst enemies, because, if you put a softer one on and it's faster, then you're basically making everybody come to your level. Not saying you, but come to that level versus if they have a mandatory hard, I keep on hearing about the D55, and I remember that tire. So for sake of argument, if you made everybody run a D55 on the right rear, that should last because of the hardness. But like I said, then you got somebody out there on the 1350, it's going to be faster, isn't it? Or am I wrong?
Well, it really depends on the track, and if it rubbers up. But I mean, typically, like last week when we went 20 straight laps, which I loved. I mean, I can't remember last time in the crane class we ran a feature without a caution. But literally, a harder tire on the right side would have been better in that race because it had time to build up the heat and start reacting, and probably would have been quicker than the softer tires at that point.
One thing I will say this, and maybe I'm looking at you as a guy who works there, but it seems like as far as the crate guys go, Dennis and the staff have stepped up along with a lot of the sponsors. Unfortunately, we had the Charlie Fields Memorial, the Ron Compton Memorial, but it was good for the drivers because there was a lot of extra money on the line, just like there is with the Ralph Davis Memorial and everything. And, it seems like the opportunity is there for you guys to make some good money.
Oh, my hat's off to Dennis and Kathy and SMB promotions. That track is certainly top notch in for the Crate Late Model Series. It's certainly it is the best track right now in a 200-mile radius of the track that's running. I mean, you could tell just by the car counts. I mean, I know a couple weeks ago it seemed like it was midsummer and a lot of vacations, but they had 12 cars. But literally, the car counts are above 15 every night up there, and some nights over 20. So there's no other track around on a weekly basis that's drawing that kind of car counts right now. I mean, so that's hats off to Dennis and Kathy and the staff up there for what they're doing and how they're promoting it. The one thing I wish, and I love, don't get me wrong, I love all the memorial events and helping those memorial events as much as I can. But I really would like everybody to understand that I think that in order to continue receiving big car counts, you have to spread that pay back through the field a little bit. It's nice to have those big paydays for the winner, but there's only one winner. And if you can spread a little bit of that money back through the field, that helps all the racers that are coming to support that event. And with the cost of racing this day and age, if you definitely minimum of first 1 through 5, and depending on the car counts 1 through 10, I think you need to increase purse all the way. That's why at K2 Engineering, and when I sponsored those 2 events, my prize money and the donation I made, I specifically wanted that to go to 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th so that they got a little bit extra money.
And you're right. There is only one winner. And, and everybody, basically has the same expense coming to the track. You got same, pit entry. You're going to go through fuel. You figure you're going to use a tire. But I think you mentioned something before. Besides the number of drivers we're getting, it's the quality. When you can run a whole feature caution free, that says a lot about the respect for all that the drivers have for each other.
Yeah, I mean, it really. I mean, like I said, I can't remember the last time in a crate late model race that I went caution free in a feature, and it does. It says a lot about the quality of the crate racer, the crate late model racers you're getting at Latrobe, the respect that they have for each other. I mean, it's just important because I mean these, everybody thinks that crate late models are cheaper. Well, the engine is cheaper, but everything else is the same cost as running a super late. So I mean, you tear something up, you tear a right front up, it costs the same as on a crate late that it does on a super late to repair it. So respect between the drivers and paying attention to the flagman. If you're not having the best night and you're running towards the back and the leaders are coming upon you and heat waves that pullover flag to you, just let the first place guys go, let the leading pack go, and get over and hold your line. I mean, that's the big thing. They just hold their line, and then we can make the shows can go real quick. I mean, I think we ran that whole feature in about 6 minutes. So.
Yeah, and even a couple weeks ago when we got started late because of the rain, we still ended up with under 4 hour show from the time we started, and I mean that just says a lot. The drivers, the track, everybody's there working together to get a good show in for the fans and for the drivers, and everybody can get their car on their trailer and go home and have a minimum repair week.
Yep, and it's important. I mean, you saying that how it's important for the racers. I mean, we're there to put on a show for the fans, but it's hard for people to spend more than 4 hours. I mean, 3.5 hours is about what they want to be there for. And they want to move on and get their families back home. So, I mean, as racers, we need to understand that and do the best we can to help the promoter and help the staff move the show along. So.
Hey, John, we appreciate you coming on. We, again, appreciate all that you do. And I know you'd like to enter your name in the record books as the first multiple winner of the Ralph Davis Memorial. Do you have anything special planned, like maybe keep an extra right rear tire, softer one or a harder one for the feature?
Depending, again, I'll be prepared for that race, and I certainly will have a hard compound tire for the right side, just depending on the weather. I mean, if the weather cooperates and the track is of the condition it needs to be in, I had a hard right rear tire on last year, and if it's a similar situation, I'll have a hard right rear tire on this year. So,
I noticed in the past also one thing you did is you normally draft a little kid to pull your pill. You might want to have Gary Sisson. He's pretty good on luck, and you might want to have him pull that pill, little Gary Sisson.
Maybe I'll grab him on the way through the pits next time. So, but
hey, race fans, that's John Over, the defending winner of the Ralph Davis Memorial, pilot of the K2 Engineering, Hodge Transmission, Rocket Chassis, car number K2. John, we appreciate your time, and thank you for going for a ride.
Thank you, Howie.
All right. Thanks, John. Race fans, right now we're going to be joined by Mr. Jim Davis, Ralph Davis's younger brother, and welcome to Ride Along.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, first off, I want to thank you and your family for all that you do to keep the memory of Ralph alive at Latrobe Speedway. And on behalf of all the drivers, they enjoy the opportunity to represent the Davis family and put on a great show in honor of Ralph.
I appreciate it also. Latrobe Speedway has been very good.
How did you guys get involved in racing? I know some of your family's involved in the tugboat business with Davey Johnson. I believe you're a nurse. And how did you guys just get involved in the racing aspect?
I mean, ever since we were young, our parents always took us up to when it was Smuckers back in the day. Our grandparents lived in Pleasant Unity, so we grew up on racing. I'm actually named after James Daniel White, so that's how much they liked racing.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm actually named after Howard Cosell. My dad was a big sports fan.
No, no,
I guess I was lucky that my dad didn't like.
there you go.
Yeah, I'm lucky my dad didn't like the Three Stooges, or I could have been Larry, Curly, or Moe. But
Right, correct, yeah.
but like I said, I just your brother and then when Latrobe reopened in 2020, you guys approached the track and you wanted to put on a memorial for Ralph. And this is the third running of it. The initial one was run by Troy Shields. Then John Over won last year. And here we are at the third running. And I'm telling you, we're expecting a great car count. It's turning into one of our premier events.
Good, yeah. We upped the prize money this year a little bit. This year we'll be giving out canned koozies and also some T-shirts, free T-shirts with Ralph Davis Jr. Memorial on them. So I'm glad it's doing well, and I hope to continue with it.
Yeah, and we appreciate, and we're actually honored that the family decided to do this at Latrobe Speedway and make it one of our premier events for the crate late models. And I just remember the first one. I can't remember which one of the brothers it was, but we were selling ice cream, and you guys said, no, we're not going to sell it. Whatever it costs, we want everybody here to have some free ice cream, and you just turn it into a big family event.
Yeah, that's what we like to continue to do too. Ralph was a diabetic in his day, and whenever he'd take my niece somewhere or his other niece somewhere, first thing he'd always get them was candy or ice cream. So just a way to continue the memory.
And your brother Ralph, unfortunately, we did lose him, but I remember last year we had a celebrity in the stands. One of your brother's co-workers, Davey Johnson, former super late model driver, came down to pay his respects and check out the Ralph Davis Memorial. So that was pretty cool to have one of the all-time great late model drivers from the area in attendance. And do you guys have any more surprises lined up this year? Any special guests?
Oh, without doubt. Not that I'm aware of yet, but you never know.
And
still got a couple weeks, so
yeah, it's coming up pretty quick, and it was cool seeing all the nieces and nephews and everybody running around. Just that's one thing Latrobe we're known for is our family environment, and just the way that you guys want to keep Ralph's memory and doing all that extra steps, so it make sure everybody has a good time, but it's very family oriented. And I'm sure Ralph is smiling from up above.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Now, did you ever work on a race car?
Like I said, we grew up at that track. So I worked with Rick Miller when he was doing ASA out in Midwest.
Okay. And
yeah, I worked with Rick. The youngest brother, Jason, worked with Brian Schwartzlander up at Lernerville quite a bit.
All right. That's pretty cool. And then your sister-in-law, back in the day, she used to do websites for a lot of the drivers. Stacy, when she had Dirt Racers, I think that's what it was called. So
yeah,
you guys have a good racing, good racing background. What was it like going up and down the road with Rick on the ASA series?
Oh yeah, we've been. We had some good times. Put it that way. We had some really good times.
Probably better off not bringing up all those memories, but what do you prefer?
Exactly. Some things are left best alone.
Yeah, I understand that. What do you prefer better, the dirt or asphalt racing?
Dirt, without a doubt.
you guys, when you were younger, you said you used to come.
Dirt's your homegrown.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys were able to do a lot of stuff on dirt carts yourself.
A lot.
I got to ask you a question, and this is what it's like for me. When I pull in a Latrobe, I worked there whenever Chester had it. I worked there when Joe Gumbatch had it. And I always get this feeling when I go through the gate. It's like going home. Do you get that feeling when you come back?
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. That's why I haven't moved back out this way. I live in Mammoth now, so I like to be out here in the country. And going there is just like going home. You're right.
And what are you predicting for the race? You think we're going to have a repeat winner, or we got a couple drivers who have been really hot, one being Ryan Frazee?
Yeah, I think we're going to have a repeat. Yeah, and he's usually pretty tough. So, I mean, that's a good one to pick. Troy Shields, always got to look out for him. John Over, he might repeat. He was pretty quick last year, so.
And, I'm sure whoever it is, they're going to have a lot of great pride in representing the family. And like I said, every year you guys do something different. The one year you guys, in addition to the race, you bought all the ice cream. And actually, the rest of the year, it was funny. We had an ice cream sponsor every night, basically because of your family and your giving. This year, you said you're going to have the koozies and the shirts, which are going to be nice. And we're going to actually had one of our drivers, they stepped up and they want to donate candy in honor of Ralph. So it's going to be a great time.
Okay, we are doing the ice cream again this year too.
Oh, awesome!
Because you got to have ice cream on a hot summer night in PA.
Without a doubt.
So the kids will be getting some too. Like I said, yeah, a hot Westmoreland, Western PA night. You got to have some ice cream.
And it's going to be a great night. It's going to be a fun night. And on behalf of all the fans and everybody, I want to thank you and your family for all you're doing to keep Ralph's memory alive. And we appreciate you doing it at your home, Latrobe Speedway. Race fans, right now we're going to go for a ride with a 3-time defending track champion, former winner of the Ralph Davis Jr. Memorial. This is the Acme, Pennsylvania legend himself, the pilot of the S&S Communications Ingram Racing Engines Rocket Chassis number 11, Troy Shields. Troy, welcome to Ride Along.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for taking time out to go for a ride. And you come into the season as the 3-time defending track champion, 5 championships overall, and we really haven't had an opportunity to talk to you, but you used to race in the supers, and ever since you went into the semi-late crate division, man, your career just exploded.
Well, it's a cost thing. It's hard to compete with those high dollar teams. The crate class is a little out of hand at this point in time because the chassis still cost the same as the super, but the engine cost keeps everything in line. So,
and one thing that it looks like took your program from, I don't want to say pretender to contender, but to that next level is you made the switch over to the Rocket chassis probably about 10 years ago.
2009.
2009. Okay, so I wasn't that far off.
No, you weren't that far off. Yeah, you just get a lot more support, and they're basically local as far as a chassis builder goes. So if you need something, you can be there in less than 2 hours.
And the nice part is when you're at the track, if there's 20 cars, probably 16, 17 of them are Rockets. So you can get that. You can get questions asked by fellow drivers too.
Yeah, it does help that there's a lot more parts out there, and and there's some technical answers that you can usually get. So, most of the guys will help each other out.
And during that period, you actually teamed up at one point. You was racing out of Denny Angelicchio's shop.
Yeah, I've done that on for the last 7 years. Right now, I have my stuff at my shop. It's just for the convenience because really busy at work. And if I have an hour or so a day to work on the car, it's a lot easier to do it at my shop than get in the car and drive a half an hour each way.
But you're still in contact with Denny. It wasn't
Pretty
a
much, yeah,
bad
pretty much
split.
daily. Yes, I mean we're still very much in contact.
So you could almost consider Daniel as a teammate.
Yeah, we bounce things off each other as far as what we're doing and what maybe we could do, setup wise and everything.
Now this season you came back with an XR1 rocket chassis. The past 3 or 4 seasons you were running that blue gray, and man, you had a ton of success with it. And went back with the XR1 chassis. And I always ask drivers, what is it like whenever you're still in a rocket, still made in Shinston, but a lot of differences between those cars? What was it like getting back into the XR1?
It's a lot more finicky. I think it's a better chassis, but the season we're having right now, we're real close, but we haven't made the right call come feature time. And it's not like it's a wholesale change. It's just a little change. Probably the best thing we could do instead of even thinking about adjusting the car is probably just go get a hot dog at intermission and get in the car and put gas in it and go race it. We may try that this weekend.
That's just one thing. You can outthink yourself with these cars. And, you just said yourself, I mean, you're at the stage now, even in the crates, and that's not meant to be disrespectful. You almost need somebody who does nothing but your shocks full time.
Yes and no. I mean, I have a good shock program with AccuForce, and we don't adjust shocks very much. I mean, they're pretty much usually the changes we made are real subtle changes, and sometimes a half a turn on a spring and shock, or you think a half a turn's not very much, but it makes a lot of difference. It's wrong way mostly we've been going, but I'm pretty happy with the car. It's been a challenge this year. It's and I have a lot of I don't have a lot of time to work on the car like I have in the past. And I used to have a guy that helped me out. He always washed it and tightened all the nuts and bolts up, but that's almost a whole evening now that so, and sometimes in my case, it's 2 evenings to get that done because I'm busy at work, my real job.
What is your real job, Troy?
An outside plant utility contractor for phone companies, cable TV companies. We do a lot of fiber optic work.
So you're around technical stuff all day, and going into that is not really a break because, just everything on that car is just so technical.
Well, it is, but it's a different kind of technical. Maybe I use my brain too much on the car. Who knows? I don't have one. I guess I really don't have that much of a brain, but it'd be better off, like I said, go eat a hot dog. The car's pretty good. Just go drive it. So.
What do you enjoy most about racing? The competitiveness, the shop time, working on the car, driving the car?
Probably driving the car is the most fun. Getting the car ready to go racing is not that much fun some days. I mean, a couple weeks ago, we had to tear it completely apart and get a partial front clip put on it. So we had the car stripped to the bare frame. I had the car stripped to the bare frame and got it back together from, Tuesday to Saturday. I think I got to the track that night at 6:15. So, that week wasn't a fun week, but, it's overall, it's fun to go. My kids go, and I got friends that come to the track, and you just get to hang out, and I get to drive it. So I guess I get to have the most fun.
You get to pay for it too, so that's not always the fun part either.
I guess, yeah, you're right. It's not getting any easier out there to with the economy the way it is, and everybody. My hat's off to every racer that shows up at the racetrack. We all pay the same price for fuel at the pumps. So.
Do you see it getting any better, the cost coming down, or you think they'll never come down?
I would say that and I don't even know what you would do to control the cost. You know, I mean, the crate engines have went up. They've almost doubled in price since 2009 from GM. So, you know, we don't have a choice in that matter. And if you look at everything else, it's more than doubled too, probably since then. Fuel definitely has.
I think fuel's tripled.
Well, yes. I mean, but so I think it's just, it is what it is. You know, we need to, I don't even know how you could, you know, we need to have race cars and you need to have younger people getting started in it. And the cost of it prohibits a lot of it for sure.
Would you like to see them go back to a 358 motor?
I don't know. I mean, the crate motor, I have no issues with it. I mean, I have a 358 motor sitting in my shop. It's brand new. I built it for the Mason Dixon series that went defunct, and never got a chance to race it. So I didn't sell it. I figured I'd keep it in case they did. So, you know, if they did come back, I'm good to go.
Did you race a lot of 358s?
Yeah, back in the early 2000s, you know, I would say probably the first 6 years of my career I did, and then I got the bright idea I wanted to go super late racing, and that worked out for about 6 months. And you know, you scatter an engine, and you know, you're out 20 grand. So that was back then. So it was like, well, I'm not going to do that again.
How did you get involved in racing, Troy?
I've always been a fan. I mean, I've went since I've been a teenager, and you know, just finally a group of us, my friends, and we bought Roaring Knob, and it was like, well, this is the perfect opportunity to get a race car, and that's basically when I started in 2003, 2004, and it's pretty much it's an addiction. It's hard to give up, that's for sure.
Would you ever want to get back into the track ownership role, or?
No, I think that ship sailed. I've done it. I mean, I respect people that have a track though, because they wear a lot of hats that nobody sees them wear during the week just to make the show happen. You know, and it's a pretty tough job. And I mean, even in this day and age, because of the cost of everything, you know, just the diesel fuel to prep a track costs you a lot of money.
You were lucky you were in an ownership group, so it wasn't just on one of you. It basically divided it by 7 or 6, however many owners there were.
Right. It made it a lot easier for sure. So
one thing I like to ask a driver, where did the number 11 come from?
Actually, I think that probably from going to the races, I think Charlie Cragen had number 11. There was a couple other guys that ran number 11 back in the late 70s, 80s. And it was kind of like just always kind of stuck with me. I used to race Jeeps, and one time I drew a number 11, and they kind of it stuck on my Jeep. That was where I ended up using that number all the time on it. So that's where it came from.
And you mentioned your kids get to go racing with you. Honestly, Courtney, I don't think she ever missed a race, has she?
She's missed a couple, but when she misses them, she has somebody texting her, and she's a little. She doesn't get too far away from it. I mean, I think they actually one night they FaceTimed a feature to her a couple times.
Yeah.
So
we're coming up the Ralph Davis Memorial, and you won the race back in 2020. What's it going to take to get the S&S Communication number 11 back to Victory Lane?
Well, if I knew that, I'd have done it about a month and a half ago or 2 months ago. But I guess we just got to keep trying, draw a little better pill to start, you know, in the redraws and stuff. I mean, that's the only disadvantage I see about crate racing. A lot of it's all about where you start, because some night you just can't pull out and pass some nights, and it makes it pretty difficult. You know, a lot of nights, if you look at the statistics, the top 5 usually finish in the top 5. I mean, there are some times that it doesn't happen that way, but for the most part, it's pretty competitive late racing.
Is that what you enjoy about it? It's how technical it is, that you got to have your chassis on because you don't have the extra horsepower to take advantage of?
That's a big part of it. I mean, you definitely have to be on your A game, and I can tell you that the competition's got a lot tougher in the last 2 or 3 years. I mean, overall in the crate racing division, anywhere you go, there's probably a half a dozen cars that could win on any given night.
One thing with you, though, your team, you've been very consistent. And I don't mean just by like your performance on the track, the pit crew. Like I mentioned, Courtney's there a lot. And she's doing more of not wrenching, but handling everything else. Pill draw, making sure the car is registered, telling you when you got to be in line, where you got to be in that, the organizational end. But you and Tanner Hogger, you guys have been working together for about 6 years, and it just seems like you two seem to click on these crate cars.
Yeah, Tanner's been with us, helping us probably since he was 12, 13 years old. He grew up with them for sure, and he went to school and got an engineering degree. Sometimes he over engineers things, but he basically does a real good job. My friend Johnny Bill comes to the races probably 99% of the time, and Johnny's takes care of all the tires, the air pressure, which makes life a lot easier. And then another friend of mine, Rick Cenas, and Neil, I can't think of Neil's last name right at the moment, but they're like the fuel guys. So, I don't have a lot of help during the week, but at the racetrack we have a lot of help, and it's very much appreciated.
And like I said, the consistency, when Neil does something, it's done the way it's supposed to be, or Tanner or whoever, Courtney, it's just that consistency, it's done, and you can move on to the next job.
One less thing that I have to worry about. Everybody knows what they're doing. We can convey that back and forth to each other, and it works pretty well.
When you started racing, did you think at this point in your career you'd have 5 track championships and all the wins that you have?
No, I probably didn't. I was just wanted to do it to have fun, and of course, it's like anything else. Once you win your first race, then you got to win your second. You want to win your second one. So it's kind of an incurable disease on that part of it. You just got to keep going.
What made you decide to start with the late models?
Everybody I talked to said that if you're going to do it, you may as well start out in what you're going to end up in, because that way you don't have you have one learning curve instead of 3 or 4.
That's smart.
So I don't know if that was the right thing or not, but that's what, here we are. That's what we did.
Now, do you have anybody who you could see in a couple years maybe taking over the driving, or at Troy Shields Racing there's one driver and that's it?
I have a nephew that may be interested in it. He has a it's a Charger car. We haven't had it out. We had it out one night last year, and it's hard enough for me to keep one car going, but we're going to try to get him out here some this fall. And, we'll see how that goes. If not, I guess when I'm done, maybe Troy Shields Racing will be done.
How about either your daughter's interested or they don't want to get behind the wheel?
I'm pretty sure that might be a recipe for disaster. I think they would have too much road rage.
You're the calm one is what you're trying to tell us, right?
For the most part, yes.
Hey, Troy, now's the opportunity for you to go ahead and thank everybody who's helped make Troy Shields Racing possible.
Well, I'd like to thank my mom and dad foremost, the kids for going along, Courtney and Morgan, S&S Communication Services foots some of the bills, not all of them, but some of them. Mike Ingram engines. I've used his engines since we started to race crate models. Johnny Bill, Tanner Hogger, Rick Cenas. I mean, they come to the track, help out a bunch. And, I guess we can't forget about, Greg Hogger. He's a needler, but he's there for some support if you need it. He'll let you whine on his shoulder a little bit. And then throw you over the hill, but that's how that goes. Gary Sisson's been a great friend, and he always kicks in and helps a little bit every year, and it's very much appreciated. And that's about it. And got to thank the fans and the promoters for having the racetrack so we have a place to race.
Race fans, that's going to conclude our interview with 3-time defending track champion at the Latrobe Speedway, the Acme Rocket himself, the legend, Troy Shields. Troy, thank you for your time.
Yep, thank you.
Race fan, that's going to conclude Ride Along this week. We'd like to go ahead and thank all of our sponsors: Joe's Body Shop and Towing, Specialty Metals, K2 Engineering, Rock Auto, DJS Swag, Seal Tight, Stone & Company, Vinyl Destination, SMB Promotions, and General Carbright. Please support those who support racing, and don't forget, we'll see you this Saturday at the races.